Hey, I'm Madison Mary and welcome back to my channel. Today I have my November wrap-up for you. I know this is like a little bit late of a wrap-up. It's just that I've had a lot of videos to come out this month, and so it kept getting pushed back and back and back as like other things came up that I needed to do like at that specific moment. So here it is, finally. It's really not that exciting. Why am I like already like killing my own video before it starts? The reason why is because November was the month, like my last month for my first semester of grad school. And you know, my master's program, I had all my like final projects and like all these like things going on for like the last 2 weeks. And so I was just so busy with that my reading like really wasn't that great. I only read 3 actual like full-length novels, and then the other 4 I read were novellas. So I even have like 2 separate vlogs for each of those. I have a vlog of those 3 books and I have a vlog for the novellas. So it's not going to be like that surprising of a wrap-up if you've seen those. But the one thing I will talk about in this is there was a kind of taboo book that I read, and I will be talking about the taboo scene in this video. I will of course like be like spoiler warning, but if that's something you were curious about, here it's gonna be in this. So like I said, I did read 7 books this month. 3 of them were physical and 4 of them were ebooks. I had 1 dystopian, 2 historicals, and 4 smutty novellas. The age ranges were 3 YA and 4 adult. And my favorite statistic, which is my total page count, for this month it was exceedingly low at 1,784 pages. I mean, like, it could be worse. If you have been here before, you will know that I start with my lowest rated read and work up to my highest rated read. I actually have a 1 star this month, but I also have, do I have a 5 star? I do have a 5 star. So, you know, you get a little bit of everything. Now, let's get into the books. So my 1 star book, it was so bad. It was so bad. It was so bad. It was 107 pages of just pure awful smut, like awful. It was captured by ɪḻ ᴏᴏᴅᴅᴅᴅ. I didn't, something like that. It's got an E at the end. I don't know. And this is about a girl who has constantly like, you know, not been able to hold down a job, and she's, you know, literally tried out everything, and she's finally decided, I'm gonna try and be a PI. And her first job is to be a PI and kind of stalk out and report any suspicious behaviors of this billionaire real estate CEO. And so she's stalking him out and in her car, and she's, you know, she actually becomes like obsessed with him. She's like, wow, he's like really hot. And she's like, oh damn, like he doesn't do anything wrong. Like he's just a total workaholic. But this guy, like she's not a good PI. Like he knows that she's been watching him, but he thinks that she's really attractive. And he's like, I don't care that she's stalking me. Like she's hot. Like I would like totally bang her like on my tail. It's just, it got like really weird really quick, okay? And like I have nothing against like, you know, quick steamy romances that are like really erotica, but like this was just weird because they became like really creepy and like they wanted to bang each other like instantly, and we're like saying all these things, and he was calling like he was being really, he was like, I'm gonna marry her, like she's gonna be my wife, like I want to wife her up, get her pregnant and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, oh no, no. And like it's basically the 2 of them for like 107 pages, like her stalking him and then him like purposefully running into her and then like offering her a job at his like real estate thing so he can be closer to her. No. Do not recommend. The next book was a 3 star. And I went back and forth on whether or not it was like a 2.5 or a 3. And you know what? It was average, this as a book. And that is Naughty Boss by Whitney G. I was excited for this. I had like the whole premise of this, you know, girl, her name was Maya. And she worked at a publishing house as a PA to the CEO. And the CEO is a complete nutter, like workaholic. He runs everyone really hard. Like he's never really been able to hold down a personal assistant because he runs them off because he gives them such like difficult tasks and no one's ever been able to really keep up with him. And Maya, like, she starts working for him and she's phenomenal. Like, she keeps up with him, like, she really wants to stay there. She's making like one hell of a salary, and he tried to get rid of her, like, not because she's bad and he just does that all the time, but because she's so hot. He's like, I literally cannot focus when she's around. Now, the whole premise is the fact that she has been sending emails to her best friend the whole time she's been working there, complaining about him, but also saying how hot he is. And then she accidentally sends one of these emails to her boss. And that's, you know, how everything begins. Now, I liked the sexual tension. I thought the sexual tension was really well done. I loved the whole publishing house aspect of it. That was really fun because, you know, it's about how they have this love of books together and how she's really invested in, like, she reads all the ones that he gives her to read and she gives him feedback, and like, that was really fun. It's just that, like, the connection that they had was just not there for me. I think it's definitely a 3-star. I just didn't feel the real connection between them. I liked all the scenes. I thought it was really fun. Like, it was a really fun read, but I just didn't believe it. I was like, nah. And before this, I had read a 5-star smutty novella, and I was like, this just doesn't live up to that. Like, this book did it so well, and this book afterwards was just like, yeah, you know. So that's why it's a 3. It's average. I think that if you're not really someone who reads a lot of smutty novellas, this could be really fun. Next, I have a 3.5 star. Finally, we have a book that I can actually show you. My 3.5 star read is And I Darken by Kiersten White, which is sad. If you watch my vlog, I actually gave this a 4 star, but the more I thought about it and when I wrote my review, I was like, you know, it's a 3.5. So this book had so much potential. I even tabbed it, like, you know, I had some really great quotes in here. It was a really interesting plot. The problem was that it was way too, like, history heavy in the first half, and it was just really slow in the first half. So this is a gender-bent retelling of Vlad the Impaler. So we follow Lada. Lada is our female version of Vlad. And if you don't know the story of Vlad the Impaler, which actually I didn't, this may be confusing at some points to you because the first half is a huge history lesson. And I don't know the story of Vlad the Impaler, so I was like, oh god. And it was like all this information about the Ottoman Empire and about Wallachia and about her upbringing, and I was just like, this is history. And I like historicals if they're like historical fantasies or historicals like one of the other 5 stars I'm going to mention later. This was historical political retelling, and it was hard for me because this is definitely not a genre that I tend to delve into much. And there wasn't a lot of action in this, and that's kind of what I was expecting. I expected this to be really action-packed. Like, if it's a historical and it's action-packed, I'll like it, but it wasn't. So if you don't know the story, the gist of what this at least is about is we have Lada, and she's the daughter of Vlad Dracul. She's the second child, but a female, and, you know, females are looked down upon. They're useless during this time period, and they are seen as just breeders. They're meant to be quiet and docile, but Lada is not. She was born kicking, fierce, she's like cunning, she's badass. She was born to be a warrior, but she's ugly. Like, she's ugly, okay? And that's the one thing I appreciate, is the fact that they say that she's ugly. She says that she's ugly, and everyone else, even the guy who kind of likes her, you know, says, you know, she ain't the most attractive girl. And I appreciated that, because too often in our books, when we have a character who's like, I'm really not that pretty, everyone's like, no, you're gorgeous, like, we're all in love with you. No, that's not the case in this. And that was very refreshing. So we have Lada, and then we have a younger brother, Radu. Now, Radu actually exists. He was the youngest son, and he was very handsome. He came out, he was gorgeous. They gave him all the looks, and he is technically the heir. But he is useless because he's weak and spineless and is just coddled. And so we had the two of them, and Lada always protected Radu. And when her father, the king of Wallachia, he ends up messing up, and his people start turning against him, and he's threatened to, you know, be invaded by people, and he's like, oh crap. And so he ends up going to the Ottoman Empire for help, and in return for getting help, he ends up giving them Radu and Lada as like collateral, you know? Like, that's what it's about. It's about Lada and Radu now being in the Ottoman Empire, which is basically enemy territory for them. And you know, Lada's really hellbent. She's like, she wants to go back to her place. She is swearing on revenge on the Ottoman Empire. She's determined to go back to Wallachia and claim her right to, you know, rule it. Radu, on the other hand, is very docile, and he actually ends up really loving being the Ottoman Empire. He's like, I feel like this is somewhere where I can actually survive. I feel like I have a place here. And he begins to study Islam, and that's like a whole thing he does. And they end up meeting like the Sultan's son, and then there's like a weird kind of love triangle going on between the three of them. So yes, this does have gay people in it, LGBTQ plus rep, and I did think that was actually really well done in this book, because you see characters during this time, you know, there's no, like, they look down upon people who are, like, you know, gay, because you can't produce heirs that way. So they kind of just ignore it, and they let people do it, but they're like, okay, you can be gay, but you still gotta marry the other sex, you know, kind of a thing. And we also have a character in this who has a lot of internalized homophobia and is also dealing with the whole fact of, am I gay and what does this mean? So that was really well done. I thought it was really interesting. But it was, like I said, very history heavy, and you know, we do have a lot of religion talk in this, and I'm not very religious as a person. I do think that the way they handled religion in this was very positive, but I am just not religious. So I was like, oh, okay, like, good to know, like, I'm learning about religion, but I'm the kind of person who never liked going to class for religion. Like, I went to a Methodist school when I was a kid, and I was like, we used to have religion class, and I was like, I don't really care about this. So, the positive, I feel like I'm just complaining. The positive in this is Lada. I loved her, and her storyline was great, because she just wanted revenge, and she was kick-ass. She was unlikable. No one liked her. She didn't really like herself either, and she just didn't care. She was like, you know what, I don't like myself, you don't like me, but you know what? I know what I want, and I will do whatever I have to get what I want. And even when, you know, there was a love interest for her and she kind of was falling in love, she still put herself first. She did not become, you know, some weaker MC because of that. You know, she still stuck to her roots of being someone who is cold-hearted and cold-blooded and just is ruthless. And she always put herself first, and that was really great to see. She was a bit selfish in some of the decisions she makes, but I really appreciated her character, and I'm really excited to see how this continues on. But like I said, Lada and Radu as POVs, and Radu was just kind of like boring until like the last third of this book, when he finally grew a backbone and was doing stuff. The first 2/3 of this book, whenever we had his POV, I was like, bruh, I really don't care about you. So it kind of sucks when you have a POV that you don't really care about. And then, like I said, the whole first half of this is extremely history heavy. So it's a whole setup for the rest of this series, and I get that. It's just, it was an effort to get through that first half, like an effort. But I am continuing on. I own the whole trilogy, so like, where did I put that book? I misplaced my book. I'm just gonna have to insert an image of it. We're moving on to my 4-star reads. First of which is going to be The King's 100 by Karen Briggs. I was sent this from the author to review, but all thoughts are my own. This was so much fun. So this is a 4 out of 5 stars. I docked off a star because the ending was just way too rushed, but this is about Piper Parrish, and she is the second-born princess of Capelon. Now, Capelon is a kingdom that is very STEM-centric. They focus a lot on technology, on science, on math, and that's what they believe in. They think if everything can be solved in that way, they completely they hate emotions. They don't like when anyone does things based on emotions. They have these chips implanted in them that are basically like an AI system that talks to them. It is really cool. But the problem is that because it's so cold-hearted, Piper is actually really looked down upon by her people, because when her parents died in a suspicious plane crash, she cried at the funeral, and her people were like, well, you're showing weakness, like what you doing? And she also loves to sing. Her mum taught her to sing secretly, and she loves to sing, and that's also looked down upon because it's the arts, and they abhor the arts. They only like STEM. And so she's seen as a disappointment, not only by her people, but by her older sister, who is currently the queen. So when Piper receives this message that says, yo, your mum's actually alive and she's in the enemy kingdom, she takes it upon herself to sneak out of Capelon and stow away to Mondaria. And Mondaria is it's kind of like their enemy kingdom because they're complete and utter opposites. And so Mondaria does not like technology. They are completely technology free. They're all about the arts, about, you know, emotions and, you know, sexual freedom and all those kind of things. And so it's a lot like our own world, but without technology. You know what I mean? So she stows away there and she gets there and she realizes, I did not have enough of a plan to get here. And so she has no money. She doesn't really know how this place even works. They're completely different. Like the clothes they wear are totally different. Like she looks stupid compared to them. But she then finds out that there's a way that she can make a living there. And that is the King's 100, which is a special performance court, which is made up of singers, magicians, and drummers. And when I say magicians, I mean like, think about the magicians in our world, not like fantastical magicians, okay? And so she tries out and she actually ends up on the King's 100 as a singer. And this is about her story of looking for her mum and dealing with her grief of losing her parents because she never had a chance to deal with her grief before because, like I said, her place doesn't accept that. And so it's about her being there and finding friendship and actually having friends and having a place in the world and falling in love. And it's actually a really beautiful story. And I loved it. I thought it was really fun. I'd never read anything like it because I classify it as dystopian because it is sci-fi, but it's also like contemporary because Mondaria is so much like our own world. So it's difficult to like put it in a box because of that. But yeah, like I said, the reason why I gave it 4 out of 5 is because it really had a very rushed ending. I feel like it ended a bit too abruptly. Like everything just kind of like happened at the end and I was like, oh, okay, this is all happening. But other than that, I really did like it. I will say that this does read very YA. Piper is 16 and she acts like a 16-year-old and everyone else on the court is like the same age and they all act that age. It's very high school behavior that they have. So just know that going into it. So yes. 4 out of 5 stars. I do recommend you look at it. The next 4 out of 5 stars is interesting to talk about because this is the taboo book. And I say that because there is a scene at the very end of this book that led me from taking it from a 5-star to a 4-star. I was going back and forth between 4 and 4.5, but I just decided it just made me so uncomfortable and it wasn't sexy at all. It was just weird. So we follow Maris. Did I ever say what this book is? No, this is The Initiation by Nikki Sloan. And we follow Marist Northcote. And she comes from the Northcote family name, which is a very prestigious family name. And she lives in Massachusetts. And in Massachusetts, there is kind of a hierarchy of families. And the top of this hierarchy is the Hale family. They are one of the richest families because they own the 8th largest bank in the world. And so they are like hot shit, okay? They engaged from birth Royce Hale to Emily Northcote. And that was going to be this really great thing because Emily was this very prestigious, like very ladylike woman and she would be great for the Hale image. And in return, by marrying to this family, it would then financially stabilize the Northcote family because that's what they kind of struggled with. So that's how it was supposed to work. The problem is that Emily got pregnant, which is a no-no. So they were like, well, crap. The problem is that they had announced this engagement to one of the Northcote sisters for years. Everyone's always known. So they ended up demanding that Marist is the step-in for Emily and that she marries Royce. This is a little bit of a problem because Marist is a complete nutter, she's not the perfect image. She has bright green hair, she hates going to events, she's a total like introvert, she's a bookworm, she's just like, she's not a social person. She has no social standing. No one cares about her. She's a nobody. She doesn't really want to do this. The problem is that they give her an ultimatum. If she does not marry Royce, her family will go bankrupt because, uh-oh, surprise, it turns out that her family, they spent all their money. And if they do not marry into the Hale family, they will be screwed. So she ends up having to say yes. And so it's about the two of them. The problem is that she doesn't actually get to be part of the family unless she passes all these tests and passes the initiation with the board of directors of the bank. And so this first book is about her becoming this lady and completely changing her image, putting away everything that she is and having to change herself externally. and kind of put on this image to be the perfect tail wife, and then also pass this initiation with the board of trustees, or whatever they are. And so that's really what the story is about. I did love it. I loved seeing Maris as she had to, you know, kind of change, and how she still stuck to who she was like when she was in private, but then how she really did struggle with changing who she was externally, and then the way that she kind of created this persona for that. And I did really like the romance between Royce and Maris. I thought it was really fun. It is a little bit like bully-ish, but like in a way that I still enjoyed it, because I'm very 50-50 on bully romances, and this still worked out. There was a really great power dynamic between the two of them, because she was pretty, like, you know, she had a backbone and she was not afraid to fight back, and I love that about her. She's also extremely smart, and she's actually a really great character to follow. The problem I had was the fact of the initiation itself. It really messed with me, okay? And I did not like it at all, and so I docked a whole star. Now I'm gonna quickly talk about what it was and the reason why I did this. So I'm gonna put a spoiler up. It is extremely explicit and it can make people uncomfortable. So let's talk about sexual things, okay? So I'm gonna put a spoiler here. Do not watch. I will put a timestamp of where you can go to skip this, but I'm just letting you know, okay? I'm warning you, okay? Okay, we're good. So the initiation, there are 9 men on the board. That includes Royce. Well, okay, there's 8 men on the board, which includes Royce's dad, and they're like all these oldish men. They're like 40s to 60s, okay? And, you know, Royce, to be part of it, the initiation has to go on, and that's how he'll get part of the board. Now, the initiation process involves the potential wife, or whatever it is, like for him to join the board, his wife or fiance has to go through an initiation process where she goes into the room with all 9 of these men and they inspect her. So she strips, they look at her, and then she lies down on the table and they hold her down and each have a turn at inspecting her with their mouths. And so that is a thing. And then she has to have sex with Royce in front of everyone. Now, it doesn't sound that bad when I say it like that, but it's really uncomfortable reading about these men, these age gap men, eating her out when she doesn't really want it, but she consents to it, because if she doesn't, she will go bankrupt and her family will be ruined. So she has to do this. She has to. If she doesn't, she's screwed. So she ends up doing all this stuff when it does not read well at all. Like, it's not even sexy, okay? Like, sometimes these taboo things, they can read sexy. You can be like, this smut is still good. But no, it was just weird, because she was lying there and she was like, I don't want this, but it's okay. Like, I'll be fine. Like, it was just a lot, okay? And I was just really uncomfortable with it. I was really uncomfortable. So, yeah, I docked a whole star. It made me that uncomfortable. So yeah, that's my warning. Another warning I'm going to give, just for non-spoilery, is that there is a lot of grey consent in this, where a character will consent to something, but not really be consenting. Like, it's an ultimatum kind of consent. So that is my trigger warning for this book. 4 out of 5 stars. I'm continuing on with the series. It's just I'm a little more wary, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, onto my 5-star books. Finally. Okay. Flush that out, okay. I can't, okay. Anyway. Ooh. So, one of my 5-star books is one of these smutty novellas that I read, and that is Go Deep by Rosie Adams. I initially gave this a 4 out of 5 stars after I finished it, but then as I read the other 3 books, I was like, oh my god. Go Deep was just amazing. Like, it was so good. Like, I tell you guys, if you are looking for one, like, I know that, like, there's a lot of things going on, but if you want a quick, fun, smutty read, please buy this. It is a little bit more on the expensive side for a smutty novella that's like, what, 131 pages, but honestly, it's worth it. It's so worth it. So we follow Navi, and she is a erotica writer. She's 31 years old and she's been doing well. She's really popular. The problem is that a year ago, her fiance/boyfriend of 7 years cheated on her. So she broke up with his ass, and she's been celibate ever since. And the issue is that it's taken a toll on her writing. Her writing is not sexy anymore, and her readers are just complaining. They're like, bruh, you kinda suck. Your writing is dry and dull. Her female best friend is like, well, you know, you need to get some, inspiration. Why don't you go on Tinder? And she's like, no, I don't want to randomly have sex with men. She's like, well, okay, fine. Why don't you ask your best friend, okay? And she's like, ooh, ask my best friend. And her best friend is Xander, and the two of them have been best friends since the womb. They are platonic soulmates is what they call each other. So she ends up going to Xander, and he's like, you're crazy. And then he ends up accepting. And that's what this is about. And I loved it. It was so hot. So hot. Like 12 out of 12 flames for this, okay? Like that's my star, that's my flame rating, It's that good. So yeah, it was really great. And what I loved about this Friends to Lovers was the fact that they really were friends beforehand, and they both of them, you see both their POVs, neither of them had a crush on the other beforehand. Like there wasn't some unrequited love. It's the fact that they literally realized during this that like their platonic love for one another easily became love for each other. And I loved that. It was such a great, it was perfect. It was perfect, okay? And the sex and the steam was 5 stars. So this book was 5 stars. Okay, I've been talking for a while, so let me get to the last 5-star book. Here she is, Capture the Devil by Kerri Maniscalco. I finally read this book, and it was a 5-star prediction. That was finally a 5-star. Guys, when I do my reaction video to my 5-star predictions for this year, it is going to be hilarious. Oh my god. Because I've been wrong a lot of times, but this I was not wrong about, and I should have known I wasn't going to be wrong about it because I love this series. I gave 5 stars to every book in this series except for the third one. Third one I gave 4 because it was fine. Oh my god. If you don't know what this series is about, we follow Audrey Rose Wadsworth, and the first book is called Stalking Jack the Ripper, and we follow Audrey Rose as she is part of this very affluent family, but she's not exactly ladylike, okay? She loves autopsies, she loves the morgue, she loves dissecting bodies. That's what she does, and her uncle is actually like a morgue doctor. It's like a forensic doctor. And so she helps him. She's one of his students, even though it's like kept on the DL because if society finds out, she'll be ruined. This takes place during the time of the Jack the Ripper murders, and they start turning up on her uncle's table, and they actually get involved in the case in trying to find forensic clues, and she becomes very invested in it. And one of her uncle's other students, Thomas Cresswell, ends up also kind of looking into it and getting into the mind of the serial killer and helping her. And so it's the two of them kind of tracking down Jack the Ripper. And then each of these books follows like a different kind of murder case. And so this one takes place at the Chicago World Fair, which I should have known. Okay, Chicago World Fair. I should have known which one this was gonna be about, but I didn't. My serial killer loving butt forgot which famous serial killer was at the... So disappointed in myself. So disappointed in myself that I forgot that. But I loved this. This is the perfect conclusion. Beautiful. Now, this series is a lot more romance focused than a lot of people realize going into it. It's a mystery romance. So you're following these murders, but you're also following the romance between Audrey Rose and Thomas, and it is one of the best romances, hands down, in any YA literature. Hands down, even adult. It is beautiful, it is consensual, it is equal. The way they respect one another is amazing. Like, oh my god, like, the romance. I can't, like, how do I explain how much I love the romance in this? I don't, because you know what I mean? Like, it's unspeakable how much I love this book, okay? There you go. I do want to also mention that in this final book, we do have representation of chronic pain, and it comes from Maniscalco's own experience as well. So it is own voices in that sense. And I really did appreciate that. I think it was really well done. What's also really great is that this book is about Audrey Rose's character arc and how she changes from the first book to this last book. And she also deals with a lot of PTSD and trauma as well. And it's so well written. If you have not read this series, please do. Please do. But just remember going into it, there is romance, okay? So, 5 stars. Okay, and that's gonna be it for this strangely long video. How did this end up being? Wow, that's a lot of raw footage. I think I complained about some of these books like a lot. This is gonna be an interesting one to it's gonna be an interesting one to edit. I do need to quickly mention that I do have a box here from Sipsby. I keep doing these videos and I keep not knowing exactly how to pronounce this. I know I literally just opened one of these in a recent video, but I need to do it again because they have an exclusive Christmas thing going on. And if you are a tea, how do I open this? If you're a tea lover, like, come on guys, come on. So, oh, this is my December teas? Oh my god, this came so quickly. I literally just got my November box. I'm a little bit about one of these. We have Black Currant Beauty, which is rosehip, hibiscus. Oh no, it has licorice root in it. And sweet fennel seed. Oh, I love that. Oh, fennel and licorice root are my favorite flavors in teas. Oh, okay, never mind. Oh, I'm gonna try this. That sounds good. Oh my god, this is so pretty. With exclusive tea, which has roses in it. This is the White Rose by Tea Fiori. Bro, this is so nice looking. It's white tea with organic rosebuds and petals. Then we have another, oh god, we have another rooibos tea. This is, Natural Rooibos by Rooibos Rocks. I actually like rooibos tea, I've actually learned. It's not for everyone. It's a very specific taste. So it depends on you as a person, but I do enjoy it. And then what's the last one? Oh, by the way, when they send you loose leaf tea, you actually get disposable like bags. And then we have the world's prettiest tea ever. What? There's packaging. Okay, I have to zoom in for this. This is the Empath's tea, and it is by the Witchwood Tea House. And oh my god, are you ready for this? Look at that. It's one of those like, why can I not remember what this is called? What is this called? When they do this, but they did this. And look at it. Oh my god. That's me talking about my December tea box. Just wanted to quickly put that out there. I thought it was going to be the Christmas box. Did I not order a Christmas? No, I think I ordered the New Year's box, didn't I? I don't remember. I got some special ones coming. Anyway, that is it for this exceedingly long wrap-up video. I mean, I have no idea how long it actually is going to be, but I've been talking apparently for 40 minutes. So, there's that. But yes, if you did enjoy this wrap-up, please hit the like button down below if you want to see more of me. Please subscribe to my channel. And until next time, thanks a bunch, guys. Bye!